Hello, everyone. Joining me tonight, as always, my co-host, my cohort, Eric Hine with NAG Industries. I'm your host, Brandon, and welcome to the Galloway Precision NAG Industries podcast. Joining us tonight is someone that I have met through work, obviously. But he is also someone who works at the American Gunsmithing Institute and is the senior editor for Gun Tech Mag. He's one of the editors. I may have said that wrong. We'll find out. Welcome, Jack Landis of the American Gunsmithing Institute. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Well, good evening, gentlemen. Pleasure to be here.
All right. So, for those of you who don't know, the American Gunsmithing Institute really pioneered the distance learning of gunsmithing. They were one of the first ones to actually have videos that you could send off for if you lived in the middle of BFE or Timbuktu. And, you know, along with the fact that we have had pushed a lot of, no, don't go into a trade, go do this, college, so on and so forth. But we won't get into the politics side of that. But it's something that you guys really did. You were one of the first to do it.
Well, it's true. Our president and the owner, Gene Kelly, started this about 30 years ago. He got into it. He was making videos because he was buying the Sten kits overseas, and he was marking the tubes and selling all this stuff. So he was doing videos because somebody wanted him to make a video to show them exactly how to do this. So he hooked up with who's now our executive producer, and produced those. And he had gone to gunsmithing school up at Lassen College in Susanville, California. Spent 2 years up there in the program with senior instructor Bob Dunlap. Bob had a program that he called Design, Function, and Repair, building on the idea that if you don't understand how it works, you can't fix it. You can throw parts at it, magically it works, but that's not a gunsmith, that's a part swapper. So it occurred, he talked to Bob one time after he'd been doing this other thing for a while, and so who's going to be teaching this when you go? And he says, nobody. Well, where did you get this? He said, it was a program I came up with on my own. He'd been doing it for 35 years. So Gene decided the only intelligent thing to do would be to video Bob teaching the same stuff that he did during the 2 years that he and several of his cohorts had gone through. And Bob agreed. He was retiring, so that's what they did. They put the original 168 hours of the professional gunsmithing course on video. It took them 5 years. And
I can imagine.
To have a step-down product that you could sell besides something that you were selling for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. They come up with these armorer courses, which are anywhere from an hour and a half, 2 hours long, which cover an individual gun, but it still covers the history of the gun, the design, the function of repair, make cutaways, show how everything works, so you can see how the parts interact, what they do, and how they do it. And then we show you exactly how we clean things and lubricate them, and then go on with the reassembly and talk about general problems with the gun. So we have like 60, 70 of those now, but we have an additional 300 some odd hours of video with the welding, covering all the phases of welding and machine shop, as well as, bluing and all the various other things you do with guns. So, it got pretty big.
So Brandon doesn't even know this. My mentor, Leroy Johnson of Johnson Precision, used to mentor underneath Bob Dunlap.
Yep.
So Leroy, have you met Leroy before?
I did. I went up to Lassen College to take either 2 weeks or 4 weeks of the NRA summer gunsmithing classes from '84 to 2004. That was my summer. So I met all of those people up there.
Yeah, so Leroy, he's down here in Bakersfield now, but Leroy mentored underneath Bob Dunlap, which was really cool.
I hate your face.
Yeah,
I hate
you've
your
heard all
face
the
so much
stories.
right now.
They're all true, by the way, except those that are not covered by, the statute of limitations.
That's right. Those are completely false, and I will make counter accusations immediately. That's right. Deny, deny, deny. Make counter accusations. So, what we're going to talk about tonight is, of course, number one, why Junior's covering his screen. I just don't know. Apparently, I'd say his wife's probably yelling at him. So, first, we'll show. For those of you that are watching live right now, and those of you that be listening later, you can find the American Gunsmithing Institute at their website, www.americangunsmithinginstitute.net.
You'd be better off putting that down just as .com.
Okay.
That goes into something else. So just AmericanGunsmith.com.
We can fix that. Watch this. This is why I love StreamYard. Even idiots like me can run it. So there we go. I stand corrected. And joining us now is Chris. All right. So again, we'll try that again. So those of you that will be listening later and those of you watching right now, you can find the American Gunsmithing Institute at www.americangunsmithinginstitute.com. Joining us now, late, but joining us is Chris, our in-house machinist at Galloway. So welcome.
How's it going, guys? Sorry, I missed it a little bit.
That's fine.
So he not only texts while driving, he videos and does podcasts while driving, right?
This generation. Hey, at least this way we'll have video evidence if he does something that we can make fun of. And but back to the topic, like we talked about momentarily ago, a lot of what you guys cover in the videos is form function of the weapon and lubricating, which is one of the things we wanted to talk about tonight. Was I've gone and lost it, but we'll start with what is the best gun lube. And the reason I bring this up, because you would be amazed the amount of times I hear in an email, well, I just use 321 oil. What's wrong with that? And I'm like, what? A lot is wrong with that. This isn't A, 1948, and B, we have actual solvents and cleaners just for firearms today.
Well, absolutely. The solvent in that is just like in WD-40. When that goes away, you got a sticky, varnishy mess. You do not want that on your firearms.
No, not at all. And especially because it will just draw dirt, dust, and everything else. So, and a lot of people, so I get the question a lot, what is the best gun lube? And, those of us who are in the military, what is our go-to all the time? Oh, look, see, Austin doesn't get a choice. He's getting involved too. But we're all CLP. I mean, that's a basic one that does both. It will clean and lube your firearm. Nothing. Nobody's going to interject. Everybody just stared at me like, okay.
Well, we showed in our videos for years and years and years, and they're still showing in them. Bob always liked the original Break Free, and so that was the lube that he used on all of the guns for lubrication and protection. They're not for cleaning, and that went on forever. And then it was just recently, a few years ago, that they changed the formulation, and we weren't that hot on it anymore.
Yeah.
I really like. Oh, bummer. Excuse me.
Oh, you're fine.
Got that. Don't talk to me. Okay.
I really hope that he didn't just get in a wreck because we just lost him. That would be...
That's the last we ever saw of him.
I know, right? But that was actually going to roll right into, what do the pros prefer? Now, all of us do this professionally, and we each have our own preference. Don't do that again because it makes us think you like just ran off the road and died. So, lubrication for firearms. I prefer to use in the shop Tetra or Hilco. Hilco is one of the ones I like because it's a long-lasting one, but it's very thin. I prefer it out of the can. The wipes are cool, but I like the can or the oiling pin because it's a nice thin film and it lasts a long time. Now, those are just my two. I also like
Aeroshell
hops.
64.
Which one?
Aeroshell 64. It's a grease. That stuff. I mean, when we did that live fire demo with Rainier Arms, I think we went through 30,000 rounds in 2 days and not a single gun went down.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That stuff just works wonders.
All right. Your turn, Jack, and then we'll read what Gun Snob. He's bragging on how he managed to find a couple boxes of VHS tapes at a yard sale full of AGI armorers courses. He was the only person to bid on it, and he got them all.
I would imagine.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut. Go ahead, Jack.
I said I would imagine they had those were the first ones I saw. I happened to come with the company because of those. Probably about 20 some odd years ago, I saw them advertised in American Gunsmith magazine. No connection to us, and so I was doing a lot of work for a number of reasons on Smith & Wesson revolvers in 1911. So I bought those two tapes. And what I got to tell you is I don't think I ever got more than 15 minutes into those tapes. Bob put my butt sound to sleep every time. Number of years later, 7, 8 years later, they were looking for a general manager. And I had it up to here with the security industry. So I went up there, we chatted, and I went on board. And they had made the switch to DVDs, but there were still the tapes available if you had a tape player. I discovered the best way for me to watch Bob was when I would go home to my apartment there at night. I moved up there and was living up there during the week, and I'd come back down to LA during the summer. I would go back there and I would get on my exercycle. I'd ride the exercycle for an hour and a half every night when I got home, and I'd watch the DVDs. You cannot fall asleep on an exercycle, okay? I mean, because the first time you do, you fall off that thing and you won't do it again. It's not a problem for me now because I have to proof them all and edit them all. So, yeah, it's not an issue. But, most people just hang on Bob's every word. They love it. There are those that find him a bit rough-edged. I can't imagine why. Sweet guy like Bob.
No, the Gun Snob agrees with you. He's like, he was a little dry.
Yeah, we became very, very good friends.
So now I'm jealous because Junior's never told me that's, he's got a direct link to Bob Dunlap. And like everybody knows that name. Everybody. It doesn't matter. Like they can never have heard of American Gunsmithing Institute and have no idea he started that, but they'll know who Bob Dunlap is. They'll know. And I'm like,
well, you figure how many people went through that Lassen College program there, the 2-year program, and what did he do it? 25 years, I think.
Oh yeah, it was.
And then they teach other people, and they're talking about this guy. The bear in the cave, Bob Dunlap. Oh, boy, he didn't let you get away with stuff, And, just gets that. Now we've had, of course, thousands of people watch these tapes and pass through what we do, and he's a pretty well-known guy.
Yeah, and I'm going to smack him next time I see him.
Probably unlikely. Bob passed away last.
No, I meant Junior. because he never told me that. No, I understand. No, I know Bob passed away. No, I'm not that dumb. I mean, no, I was talking about Junior. Next time I see him, he's gonna get a smack for not telling me that.
I will tell you that probably one of my good friends is up there, and his whole job is curating Bob's collection or acquisitions. There must be over 1,000 guns, and since they're in Oregon, some of them got pretty bad, and nobody knows exactly what's there. Things go there and disappear and never come out, and he's got probably another year's worth of work there. So. He loves my wife. He loves my daughters. Gives me. So we have a great time.
So we've talked about some of the lubes, but now let's touch on the most important thing, I think, because there's a lot of solvents out there, and there's a lot of people that don't understand you can't use certain solvents on things. Like, for instance, I still have somewhere, I wish I could have found it, but with what's going on with my house, I've had to move a bunch of stuff around so that the demo can start on the bathroom tomorrow. Not exactly excited about the shower leaking into literally everything, but what are you going to do? So, but somewhere I have an old Remington Model 48 manual that literally tells you to clean it with gasoline. And I'm like, oh Lord. And that's because, I mean, let's think about how old the Model 48 is too. It was around forever. And it may be an even older model Remington. Who knows? I mean, I've had that. I forget when I got that manual. I got it when I was probably 15, 16 years old. It's one of those things that I've kept for whatever reason because of what I do forever. But just to see that and to understand that now, if you think back, that's literally one, nobody knew the obvious bad effects of just soaking your hands in leaded gasoline and things like that, or soaking your hands in kerosene is not ideal. I've seen old manuals that have that in there, but, so that brings up, are all solvents created equal? And no, they are not. I'm sure Jack and I know Junior for sure have some horror stories. But one of my favorites has always been the people that put vinegar on their slides to get the bluing off. You ever come across that? Oh, yeah.
An interesting finish on
it. Yeah, it puts a real interesting finish on everything that's metal. For those of you that don't know, not to put vinegar on a blued metal or metal of any kind that is finished, because vinegar is a very, very acidic solvent. Very acidic, and it eats through metal like nobody's business.
Yeah, and if you think your sweaty fingertips leave orange spots on your gun,
Junior.
I got to tell you, though, I did, and I really still do, guilty secret. When I get some of the old military surplus weapons in that are covered with that ancient cosmoline on them, I do use solvent.
Solvent, that's different, though.
But I do, now that I'm older, I know not much older, I realize I only look 30. I'm in the rubber gloves with the brushes now, and I'm outside.
Yeah.
Think how many of your friends and our friends have had their kidneys fall out from using all of those chlorinated hydrocarbon solvents with just bare hand and do that stuff. And one of their kidney had some kidney problems and everything. Awful. So.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Simple Green. Stuff does wonders.
Oh, there you go. See, that's a Bob Dunlap thing. Now I don't have to tell the story. You can.
All right, Junior. Let's hear it.
In every one of our armor courses.
So I don't know the story behind it. I like Simple Green just so I don't die eventually from something.
Absolutely. Yeah, we every one of our armor courses show how we clean it because Bob got wise after a while, after others after making a few trips to the hospital, and they say, "You do what on your bare hands and you breathe this stuff too?" Yeah. So once you strip the gun down, take it completely apart, then you get one of the plastic trays, Rubbermaid thing. Put some warm water in it. Put a half a cup of simple green in there. Let it sit for a little while, and then go scrub it with a brush, just a regular gun brush. It doesn't have to be the copper or bronze ones, just the bristle brushes. And boy, it'll take that stuff right off of there, and you can feel it. You can feel it, that metal's gone. And once you finish scrubbing it like that, you take it and you dump it into a second container that's got some warm water in it, and you just throw it all in there. Now, when you get done, you rinse it around, shake it up, and either you use shop air to blow it out, or you can just put it on a cookie tray in your oven at about 140, 150 degrees. Don't tell your wife. Try it all out, and boy, you'll feel that is clean as a whistle. Then you go ahead and lube it up with whatever nitro mayonnaise you appreciate for lubricants and preservatives, and you're in business. And it costs us like Zippo. And you can drink the stuff and you won't die. What's the stuff in the green can that comes from Germany? To put on everything, leather and wood. This and that.
Damn it!
Oh, I can see it. It has the green Christmas tree on it.
Yeah.
You mean Pine Sol?
Aerosol? No, it's
It's not Pine Sol.
Ballistol.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of our guys really like that. I wasn't all that thrilled with it, but for what they do, they're not worried about lubing something like you're talking about automatic weapons. They're looking for something that makes the gun function well. It doesn't hurt anything, doesn't hurt metal, plastic, wood, anything, and doesn't ever get gummy. And you can put it on even when the gun's wet. It'll go right in underneath it, make it milky, and just emulsifies the water and wipe it off, and it's good. And it doesn't ever get bad. Customer takes it away, everybody's happy. It doesn't rust, doesn't do any of that. And then if they go shoot it, it's fine too. If they're going to do some heavy duty shooting, now we're talking about a different kind of lubricant. But for a gunsmith, that really works out well.
That stuff can get you, if you're in an enclosed room, you'll start seeing stars at a certain point.
Yeah, definitely.
I watched the guy at the SHOT Show that sells that and drink it.
Oh, love it.
Won't hurt you a bit. Okay.
I can't do simple green. It just brings back horrible memories of barracks cleaning parties, and but I bet in an ultrasonic cleaner it would be stupid efficient and just
it is. We have 3 tanks set up. We got our big one. You drop all the nasty stuff in, then I pull it out of there and we get it with a little bit more cleaner tank. And then the final tank we hit with hot water, and then I go over to the compressor. I am telling you, you just got to walk away like this for the most part.
Bob liked the simple green. He liked the smell. His wife, Marion, couldn't stand the smell. So when she was there, he would use the green stuff, whatever you call it, like orange, citrus orange or something like the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it worked just as well.
Oh, yeah. There was a guy that when I worked at Carolina Guns and Gear, I think it's actually what may have become Shooter's Lube. I can't remember the name of it. I'd have to go down to the store. I haven't been down to the store in forever because I live the exact opposite direction now. But it came in. There was this little old lady had brought me her P3AT. It had been in her grandma bag and was full of melted M&Ms and other candy, and just like it was
stuff.
Oh, it was terrible. And nothing you do with that kind of stuff. I soaked it in hops number 9 for a week straight, chipped and chipped and chipped. And it was just because and it was loaded. That was the worst part. At least thankfully it didn't have one in the chamber, but even if it had, it wouldn't have done anything. Because when I say this thing was full of chocolate, I mean literally jammed from the end of the barrel to the breech face chocolate.
We just had a little 38 special Colt come in. Jack, do you know Oak Tree Gun Club down in Santa Clarita?
I have been there, yes, but I can't think of the name.
We just took over the contract for all their gunsmithing. We've been doing it for the last 2 months. Some customer drops off a 38 Special Colt stub nose. He's like, it was left to me by my brother-in-law. And one of our guys was taking it apart and he calls me over. He's like, hey, man, I need you to look at this. And you look in the chamber, and there's this blue plastic ring in there. I'm like, looking at it. It's like, is that Loctite? Is that Loctite through the whole barrel? I said, crank the ultrasonic heater up. Like, let's get this thing hot and drop it in there because it's not coming out with a pick. Pulled it out. It was the casing of that blue snake shot stuck in there.
Oh, man.
It had been in there for like 20 something years. Like, I ain't making that up. Like, I have to send you a photo of it because the blue's still there, but we got the ultrasonic heater hot enough to where it would separate itself from the metal.
Right. Exactly.
So basically, they've been shooting a smooth bore for who knows how long.
When you're up there at Santa Clarita, you probably run into Joe Alicia up there a time or two, Lefty Longridge.
I have not met him yet. We've only been doing it for the last 2 months. So we're up there every other Friday. So next Friday, I'll go up there, pick up guns, and bring it back to our shop. So still kind of learning everybody right now up there.
So I want to know when Sandman pipes up. Does he just sit there and observe? Or,
he is.
He said this dumb thing. Oh, he said this dumb thing.
Just
are you
taking notes and taking names. Say again? Oh, what was that?
I said, are you the enforcer?
I mean, not really, no. It's kind of the Wild West, really, with them.
I knew I should have put my shit on.
No, Chris is our resident naval reservist. So we give him, I think, 2 because he's also sitting in the car right now, so he doesn't lose signal. He's trying not to get feedback through the speakers. But, you know, because I was Army, Junior was Army. Jack, were you Army or Marines? I can't remember. You were Army as well, yes. So, you know, he's a squid.
I tested way too high an IQ to be a Marine.
So, Jack, what'd you do in the Army?
I was a combat controller when I got to Vietnam. And
okay, so I can hang with them as being an airborne scout, but Brandon, you infantry people got to sit over in a corner.
Nah, whatever. They're not the one who wears spurs. That's all I'm saying.
I got the scout bird.
See, that's what I'm saying. You weirdos wear spurs. I mean, it's not as bad as what the Navy does, though. You know, he's laughing because he knows where I'm going with this.
Well, the funny thing too.
It's no wonder they do. No wonder. Sorry, guys.
You're good.
The funny thing too about it was when I was in Afghanistan, I actually had this very same hat with me there, and the base we were on, it was a soft base, and on Fridays they didn't do any TAA, so it was kind of like a casual Friday for everybody. So I would dress up in my boots, my hat, and every now and then I'd don some spurs. And the Slovaks that were there started calling me the Sheriff of Moorhead. And so I got myself a little sheriff's badge, and about a week later I got a deputy's badge and deputized one of the Slovaks. So it was a great time.
See, you know, it's stuff like that I miss. And then I remember I don't miss the other shit. So it's one of those things. I live vicariously through some of his stories because he's still a young buck. He's 26 years old. So, you know, he still gets to go do fun stuff like we used to do. And then it's like, then I remember the other part and I'm like, oh yeah, no, I still wouldn't do it again.
Well, look at it this way. This is something that's always bothered me, right? So I had relatives uncles, you know, that were in the Ardennes. That was a pretty miserable time, right?
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
very nasty, people shooting at you, all that stuff. And so here I am with my senior trip in the down in the Green Paradise, and we got monsoon, we got dry season, and we got jungle, and we got rice paddies that people have been crapping in for 1,000 years. And then you guys get the sandbox. Don't they ever think about throwing a war in a damn decent place to be?
Right? like even
why don't we throw a war in San Diego, for crying out loud? You know?
I mean, well, you know, it keeps going the way it is. You might get your wish. But yeah, seriously, because like, think about it. Korea, they don't call it the Frozen Chosen for nothing.
Nope.
I can attest to that.
Nasty in North Africa, really? You know, the desert rats. Well, you know about that crap. It's 135 degrees there, and then we're in shorts crawling around in the sand. Right?
Right? Why can't it be white sand with nice blue water and tropical climate without all the humidity and the tiki drinks and all that? No, it's always got to be like some armpit or ass.
Iwo Jima, nice Guadalcanal, nice places like that.
Yeah, you know. Nice places like that. All right, we just throw the worst wars. We don't know what we're doing anymore.
Well, you know, that's kind of an understatement too, because like one thing I always think about, especially with like Desert Storm and whatnot, is we got, you know, Marine units and stuff out there, and then eventually everybody else showed up. But you know, your uniform and mop gear, or not even but the mop gear that they had. All right, first of all, yeah, it's like 130 degrees sometimes in these places, and the desert, you know, there might be a couple different shades of desert, but for the most part, woodland camo doesn't exactly do well in the desert.
I just want to point something out about mop gear real quick. I literally, when we had to do training at Fort Bragg, Fort Bragg with mop gear, I got caught one time by my sergeant for, you know, cracking the seal so I could breathe.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You're going to die." I said, "It's worth it.
It's worth it. I'll be doing the kicking chicken. I don't care."
Yeah, I'm cool with it, man.
What are you going to do? Send me to Iraq?
Right? Like, well, look where we are.
You don't like it? Send me to Vietnam. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm over here.
That was what was that. Oh man, I'll never forget. Right before I ended up going to 2-6 from Fort Irwin. Now you got a bunch of old war stories going on. Those of you that are listening, we'll get back on subject in a minute.
I'm sorry.
But we had to play Blue 4 because a bunch of people had already pre-deployed and were staging in Kuwait and everything. So we had to pretend to be, dude, I was stationed at Irwin for almost 2 years. Junior can attest to this. Better to be Op 4 than Mop 4. And I will tell you, the first time I ever had to put Mop 4 on in Iraq was when they made us pretend to be friendly forces. And I think we were supposed to be like Kurds or something. I don't even remember. But we had armor, which was ridiculous because whatever. But they made us do the whole thing too. And I thought, oh, man. And I got busted by an OC because what I was doing is I'd pop down into the turret and I'd just completely take my top and my mask off. Well, in the fake OS-V, which is a 113 with a 25 millimeter Bushmaster turret in it from a Bradley, you can't see it. Well, you can't hear either when they climb up the back of your vehicle and poke a head down in there and go, "Oh, your gunner's dead," and then wander off. And you're like, "Oh, I'm going to get in trouble for this." But yeah, it's horrid, dude. It is not fun. I was glad I got downrange after all that was over with. When I got to my unit, they had already been there a while because the J lists were even worse than the original mop gear that we had in the late 90s, early 2000s. Those J lists were just horrible. Easy to put on, but it seemed like they were almost 100 degrees hotter than the old Mop 4 gear. It was just like, did they add heaters? What is going on here? Mop gear. I say, this will be my last political comment, I promise. I say we host a war on Guam, but we only do it on one side, so it capsizes just like Hank Johnson wants it to. For the
it's hard to imagine you can be that stupid and be in Congress, only because who walks you down the hall every day? Because it true that the island will capsize.
Like that was the greatest reaction I've ever seen on the internet. It doesn't matter. Just just period in my lifetime. Just watching that dude testify and go, you realize it comes across his face. Oh, he's serious. Like, he's not kidding. He thinks Guam's going to flip over if too many people get on one side. This man doesn't understand how islands work.
Well, they're there on top of the water. What do you think they were?
Right.
So I would have stopped at that point and been like, why hasn't the island got closer to mainland? And just see his response.
So if we put a bunch of fans on one side and turn them all on at once, can we push closer to the mainland? I mean, why not build giant sails? Like that would be right up some pork belly stuff right there too. But anyway, back to solvents. So again, not all solvents are created equal. We've talked about the green, the simple green, the ballistol. Everybody loves that. Now, me personally, I do wear gloves with it, but I like hops number 9. I've always liked hops number 9. But also, I've always had this idea to take the Kydex dust from making holsters, mix it in with the hops number 9. We add that to some men's body scrub. I'm talking $1 million idea, boys.
Yeah.
Day 1, lawsuit, $1 million, rations everywhere.
You imagine hoppies, though, as you realize that was originally designed back in the black powder days to take care of the salt nitrates in the primers, in the mercuric primers.
Yeah.
And it will do that fine. So particularly if you're shooting military ammunition, that's mercuric ammunition, that's the stuff you really want to use, and it will take care of all that stuff. It takes out cordite greatly too.
Oh yeah, I love using that stuff in my number 3 Mark 1. Number 1 Mark 3. Number 2, I don't know. I have several Enfields, and they're all in various states right now. I have a couple number 4 Mark 1s, and I have a couple of number 3s. I've got ranging from literally it's really hard around here not to do it. But I haven't bought one in probably 8 years. But you go around to the pawn shops in Western North Carolina, because people don't understand the history of them. They'll go pawn them for like $50-$60.
Yeah.
And so you can pick an Enfield up. The last one I got was probably 6 years ago. It's a 1917 Mark III, number 1 Mark III. And it sits in, that thing's great.
Hey, Jack, real quick. Smith & Wesson 14-4. How much do you think one of those would go for?
Oh, what's it worth, or what will it go for?
What would it go for?
Probably around here with the everybody wants an automatic. I've seen those sell now and again for like 3.5, and I think they're worth way more than that. They were really accurate guns. They built those very well.
I just got 3 of them from a PD for free.
Wow.
Yeah. So the other day he calls me. I'm out in my Kydex cabin doing some foreman, or I might have been Cerakote, and I don't remember. But he calls me. He's like, "I've got these, Smith & Wesson PDs," and immediately my mind goes to the Model 10.
Right.
That's just, everybody knows that. Plus, their market's been flooded with the police trade-ins from not just our own forces here that are going through trying to get rid of outdated and obsolete guns so they can use the funds to get better equipment, but from foreign countries too, trading in and finally going semi-auto. So that's what I thought it was. And then I said, well, go crack the cylinder and tell me what it says on the frame. And it comes back with that. And I'm like, dude, those things go for close to $800-900 on Gunbroker to the right people. I'm like, how did you get those? And he's like, oh, they were free. Trade in for some work. I was like, what? And he was getting ready to chop them up because I told him I thought they were Model 10s until he got me the model number. Yeah, I know, right? As soon as he got me the model number, I was like, forget your idea. Don't touch them. Clean them up.
That would still be a cool snub nose, you got to say, though.
Oh, it would.
No,
It would be.
No. Man, those are target guns. Those are good guns.
Yeah, they're
the target
highly
model
sought
of
after.
Model 15, and my dad had a Model 15, even though he carried the Colt, the 38 on the 44 frame and the FBI, but he liked Smiths, so I like Smiths, and they're a whole lot easier to work on. But he bought, when he got out, he bought himself a Model 15 4-inch, with the Bowman front sight, combat front sight, and the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
What a great gun. And the only difference was the Model 14, didn't have that. It had the regular Patrick sight on.
Yeah. And he got 3 of them for just like, oh, I've got 3 of these things. Just, oh, that's awesome. Someone just turned 40 and you never sent them anything for their birthday. So, I mean, I'm just saying. A free classic Smith, why not? I mean, who's your uncle? You love your uncle. Come on. All right.
I got lots of semi-autos, but I got a whole side of my safe full of nice Smiths.
Oh yeah, and it's funny you said they're easier to work on. I've got an H&R out in the garage right now. I see he's already shaking his head like, oh. It was given to me, and
that's the reason I have one too.
Yeah, exactly. And it's 32 long, which is a really accurate snubby for what it is. And when I finally got it running, man, I was super ecstatic. But I hate working on those things. And people know I work on outdated stuff sometimes, and I wish they didn't. Just because
those solid frames, trying to get those parts in up there.
Oh, it's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. I don't know who. I would like to have the Bill and Ted phone booth to just go back in history and find the designer and just kick them square in the junk. Just like, what are you thinking? This is the worst idea ever. Who's not much better? We won't say their name because this is on our YouTube channel and that's big enough to get us in trouble. But it begins with C and ends with Ardor. Arms is another one who does that, and I'm like, dude, welcome to 2020. Can we do a normal revolver? Like, up until 10 years ago, that's how theirs were still produced. And I'm like, what? Why? Why would you do that? And the only reason I know this is because Lynette, who works with us, has a Charter Arms 38. And it was from like the 80s, late 80s, early 90s when I ran the serial number. Tracked it down because I like to know about the old guns. And when I saw that, I was like, who in their right mind was still making revolvers like this well into the 20th century? This is insane.
Well, in the 21st, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, at that point, true. See, I've already had 2 Jameson. Here's my shameless plug, Jameson, if you want to send me some. Jameson Stout Edition. But yeah, like it just blew my mind. I never really thought about that because it's rare I've ever come across or had to work on a Charter Arms. Just not many people. They're a very small company. Not that they make bad guns or anything like that. For those of you out there that like Charter Arms, they make what their stuff is good.
And it works.
And it works.
Don't bring them in because they keep working.
It's
people not used by somebody in competition where they're shooting them 1,000 rounds a week.
Yeah,
they're carried by people for a little plinking or as a bedside gun or in the pickup or whatever, and they just keep working.
Exactly. It's like people knock High Point, and I'm going to catch crap about that later. But Chris has seen mine. It's in pieces. Well, I kind of did something dumb, but when we made the flat face rat rod trigger, that's my High Point in all the pictures on the website. I've had that thing for a long time, and it's probably at this point, I think by its serial number, it's like almost 15 years old. I haven't had it that long, but that's how old the gun is. And I was doing all the videos, and I had accidentally heated the Loctite up too much on the trigger, applying the grips, and I didn't realize it and shot it a bunch. And now I've managed to get my rat rod stuck in there because you know how the frame is. The trigger comes in from away. Well, the over travel screw over the years has managed to work itself all the way to the rear. And I'm like, oh, look, see, even me, I do this every day and I'm a genius. Look at me go. Because I knew to put the grips on before doing that, but did I? Nah, I put them on last because I got lazy. So, and it's mine. It's my own gun. So when it's my own gun, I don't think about that stuff. Everybody listening right now is like, we're going to stop sending goods. No, now keep in mind, yours I get paid for. Mine, I don't.
Why did you do that? Because I wanted to.
Yeah, it's my gun. I don't,
Why
you
not?
know.
I wasn't worried about anybody bringing it back to me.
Yeah, because it's mine. And then I didn't think because I'm like, oh. And I know Junior can attest to that for sure because me and him are constantly sending pictures back and forth of stupid stuff we've done to our own guns. Not even thinking, just like, oh, yeah, look what I did because I'm an idiot.
I had one too many beers one night.
Yeah, right. I thought this was going to be a good idea.
I really thought to myself, hey, supposing I was too.
Right, and that's how it ends up. Good Lord. Just so many dumb things I've done just thinking it's a great idea, and then to do it and you in practice you're like, oh, that was stupid. Why did I think this was
someplace where we're not in public and we're working on one of those bottles of Jameson, we'll go one up on stupidest things one of us.
I don't know though. The greatest one was the one I got yesterday. Did I send that to you, Junior? The one with the scope mounted to the bolt. Yeah, no, I'm not kidding.
No. So a place, because there's a couple places that I contract gunsmithing out in California. So there's a previous gunsmith before me, and it's on a Springfield 303 or 8. Sorry, 1903. There we go. And I grabbed the gun my first day up there after I took over the contract. And they're like, hey, here's some guns that have been left here by the old gunsmith. And I go, pull the bolt up, and I'm like, hey, guys, you know when you're supposed to put the scope mount on here, it's supposed to clear the charging handle, right? They're like, yeah, that's why he's not here any longer. I said, okay.
That's one.
But no, this is I can't tell. They don't say what it is. It was a Facebook Live or an Instagram video, one of the two. But it's a gunsmith shop, and the dude is posting it because his first line is literally just I can't. Dude, someone signed off on this, and then he just starts showing you, and the sling is screwed directly into the fore end of the stock. And you can tell it's a Remington, an older Remington of some sort by the stock and the barrel. It looks to me, because I've owned them in the past, a 491 or a 492, which is just sacrilege to do the things they did to this 5mm Magnum, if that's what it is.
Yeah.
All right. So you come back and they've taken the Remington cap off. Remember how you used to get the R on all of the old stocks? They've taken it off and then screwed the sling through that. And he's like, but that's not even the worst. This is the part I don't get. And he racks the bolt and the scope moves with it forward and back. And he goes, dude, somebody signed off on this, and he goes, somebody thought this was a good idea, and then somebody went, yeah, let's do that, and signed off on this. The scope, he pulls the bolt out, and the scope's still attached. It's completely, the 30 millimeter rings, the whole 9 yards are all attached to the bolt. And that also means if it is a 491 or a 492, which it looks like, and it may not be, it could be one of the million other Remington bolt action 22s or 22 mags, but still, it's obviously an old collectible Remington. You can tell that by looking at it. If it is a 491 or a 492, or the 5, whichever, I forget which designate. I haven't had one in years, but the 5 mil, they had to cut a part of the action out of the way to mount a scope to that bolt, because I'm looking at it going, hey, wait a minute, that looks like an old style Remington bolt. Those things had side mount scope. Wait a minute. And I'm sitting there thinking, if that's what I think it is, not only did they sign off on that, they cut a giant part of the action out of the way to make it work.
So not only that, let's just talk about something more modern. ARs. Let's talk about the Magpul MBS sights, the plastic ones, and which way is forward and which way is backward. Because Brandon has seen the photos on a professional website that I've shown him before. But then we had a customer deliver an AR to us, and somebody did the same thing. And I'm like, how do you go correcting the person? Because they think they're right, and the customer's always right. And I'm just like, Austin's like, are we going to fix this? I said, nope. Because you tell him he's wrong, he's going to throw a fit.
It literally has it printed on the site too, I might add. I just wanted on the plastic sites, it tells you how to install them. So when you put them on backwards.
Well, my thumbprint goes right there. Yeah, that's not how that works.
That's not how that's designed or how that works.
Nope.
Did they
At
just
all.
reverse them like that, or did they put the rear one in the front too?
No, so let's see if I can do this with my hand.
No, I have seen them that way too before, usually with a carry handle. They mount the carry handle backwards. I've seen that before.
Yep.
But no, the way the Magpul, the plastic ones work is when you flip it up, you're supposed to see the flat end. Because why? Well, that's all the adjustments like a normal AR-15, M4, M16 variant sight. Number 2, it's also how they were designed. I don't know if I mentioned that in the first part, but they're designed that way, and people put them on backwards. Well, what they don't understand is when they flip that front side around, it completely throws the zero off because that's not how it's supposed to be mounted. These things have a certain angle and everything they're supposed to be at.
So you're saying when I'm going my bullet, I want to go left and I'm cranking on the right because it's backwards, not going the right direction? That's peaceful?
You mean to tell me it's going to keep going the direction I'm missing? Wait a second. Because they'll put them on backwards like that. Because it does. Naturally, that's how your thumb lays. If you're doing the over-exaggerated C-grip. I wish I had like a giant like floor model dildo to No, the over exaggerated C grip just drives me nuts from people that have no I saw it on the internet. Like, no, that's not how you whatever. But anyhow, they'll be sitting up there and they think, well, my thumb sits there naturally, so boom, there it is, it's up. But they don't understand they've just completely flipped how you zero the sight. But they're still following the directions on the flat side and then wondering why it's going the opposite direction. I have seen that. And that's not to offend anybody listening or watching later. I'm just saying, read the instructions, especially men, let's be honest, men. Read the instructions. That's why they come with instructions.
So, even on that, and here's a prime example, Jack. So we own the contract for California for Vortex Optics running all the government sales. Yeah. So I help all the PDs and fire departments get what they want. And customers will come into our little storefront and they'll pick up a magnifier or rifle scope and they're holding it backwards. And you wait a couple seconds, maybe they're just kind of playing around, and then you can tell they really don't know. And you tell them nicely, right? Because you don't want to go shaming anybody, because we want people to grow into this industry and, move forward, right? But it is funny how many people will take like a 1-6 or a new 1-10 razor, and they're looking through it with the small part of the tube, and you're like, "Sir, you're supposed to look down the other end." And they're like, "Really?" Yeah, and I'll sit down and show them, and it's just funny because people don't know, right? There's things that I do in life that has nothing to do with the firearm industry, and I'm like,
"Oh, you'd be amazed
like,
at the things I do retardedly." Like,
yeah,
not like that right there. Not to offend anyone, I said.
Yeah,
but yeah, there's stuff I do all the time. I'm like, "Oh, that's not how that works."
Yeah, and you kind of look around like the cat does,
like, did anyone else see me do that? Or there's sometimes that I do it with stuff that I work with all the time. The other day, I had that little car 380 in my hands. Car sent us the P380. No, not the P. The polymer model. The cheaper one, I should say. I don't want to say it that. The more cost-effective one. But they also sent us a PM45 because we're developing trigger bars for them. And I'm sitting there playing with the 380 and just bit the absolute shit out of my hand, because I don't know if anyone out there's ever messed with their 380s, but those things are monsters to wreck, right? So I'm saying, see, there you go. Jack knows what I'm saying. He's been bit good. That looks like Garand thumb more than anything, though.
The bottom one's Garand thumb. The top one was just stupid. I'm demonstrating how that I can't think of a device that you put on the bottom there that holds the spring. I'm brain dead at the moment. But so that once you lock that bolt back, it stays back, and when you put that in there, then you can put a half full mag in or clip in any way you want, and you can fire it. It doesn't pop out. It doesn't come out until you press the clip release. So you don't lose them at the range. You don't lose them if you're out plinking in the woods, and you don't. You can add more cartridges to it, and it doesn't bite you. You have to pull the rod back and let it go. The out panel back and let it go. So I was demonstrating this on screen, and I had taken it apart, put it back together about 3 times, and so I had gotten out of sync. I don't know where it was. And I'm saying, so you could put this right in, bam!
Immediately.
It's really painful if you do that wrong, see?
Oh, yeah.
I meant to do that,
Oh, yeah. Like, that's another one of my favorite videos, right? You're like, I totally meant to do that. Like the dude at the range with the 44 mag or the 500 Smith, whichever it is. And he's standing there and he's like, you could put it in single action, and boom! Just plants that barrel right between his eyes. And he like, and you hear the guy go, "Do you mean to do that?" And like, yeah, like he was confident, dude. He stayed with it. But I've been in there. I've done that before and ended up going and reshoot the video again, because I'll get halfway through an installation video and like bite the shit out of my hand and just go, yeah, we're just going to do the whole thing over again.
Yeah. Wasted tape,
Yeah. And I try to show me screwing up as much as possible, because, even though we're pros, it happens, because there'll be certain installs that people get frustrated with. And I'm like, dude, I know I make it look easy, but I do it 100 times a day. It's one of those things that over the years I've gotten really used to doing. It's muscle memory at this point.
It's one that bites me not every single time, but it's when a customer comes and picks up their Glock from getting slide cutted and us doing the laser stippling to it, is the stupid slide release and the freaking pin to get it back in, because they're like, oh, I want my gun, and I'm trying to, get it back in, and it just, I always forget, just push up on the slide release and it'll pop right in, but I'm sitting there going in.
It's always the simplest thing. It really is. It's the
Just
easy
come back,
stuff.
I'll just figure that I'll be right out. Okay.
Yeah, right. It is always that, like, because we'll have, and Chris has been with us long enough now. He's seen it. We'll have customers come in, and they love to watch, and 99.9% of the time it's fine. But any of us who've ever worked on mass-produced guns know tolerance variances, and there's always that one that it's usually a walk-in customer or an appointment, and it's got to be their gun that you've got to fit the firearm or you got to fit the part to get, and then you just start getting frustrated with yourself because you're like, bitch, why aren't you working? Why are you doing this to me?
It's always when there's somebody standing there looking at you, right?
Yeah, it's never when you're by yourself. You just buzz right through it, don't even think about it. But the moment someone's standing right beside you watching you do it, and you're just like, all right, we're just gonna go stupid apparently and not be able to put the thing together. Or mine, there's one part I always forget when I put a slide back on. And that's the guide rod. 90% of the time I won't even think. Throw the barrel in, throw the slide on. And I'm like, why isn't this good? Oh, hey, it helps if you put the guide rod. I mean, probably in the last, just yesterday, he heard me say it 3-4 times. Because I get in the zone, start putting it together, and I'm like, why isn't it? Oh, there's no guide rod in it because I'm dumb. You know, so those listening, watching, whatever, you're not alone. Even us professionals do it. Everybody's shaking their head like, yeah, we do.
Go ask us a technical term of a gun, and I will look at you. That jiggy madoer goes in that hole over there.
And like with the whole like customer watching you thing, I feel like it's almost like with the light paradox, how it's a particle or it's a particle, but when it's unobserved, it acts like a wave. So it's like, when you're not being watched, everything goes nice and smooth. But as soon as somebody starts watching, you're being observed, so you can't be the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, when you're by yourself, you do a certain thing a certain way, and you've done it so many times that that's the way you do it. But then you got somebody standing there, and they say something else until you go to answer that, and your brain shifts out of the sequence, and you're looking at it like, wow, I got to think about that now. Now that all screwed up. Normally I don't have to think about this.
Yeah, that'll get you there. But looks like our hour's up, gentlemen. So we can stay on time for once. We don't want to keep Jack too long. Jack, thank you so much for joining us. For those of you watching now or those of you listening later on, again, you can find the American Gunsmithing Institute and Gun Tech Magazine. There's a link there as well from...
There is, and the other one is called ProCleaningsystems.com. ProCleaningsystems.com. It's a way to help you pay for your gunsmithing school while you're learning.
Excellent. So, AmericanGunsmithingInstitute.com. What was the other one again, Jack? We'll hear it one more time.
Well, first of all, because I'm a complete idiot and I've only been here 15 years and doing this, it's actually AmericanGunsmith.com.
So there we go.
Speak to me again. So, what have you been doing?
See.
The other one is ProCleaningsystems.com.
ProCleaningsystems.com. And definitely, guys, check out their videos. Even those of us that have been doing this for years, we still go to these videos from Bob Dunlop. I mean, Junior is going to get kicked in his taint later next time I see him for never telling me that his mentor directly learned from one of the greats. But hey, whatever. That's cool. You're a jerk face.
But, you never asked, so I never told.
Oh, whatever. You suck.
So you're one of those don't ask, don't tell guys? Is that...
Yeah. Well, he was a Cav Scout. I mean, Cav Scouts weren't like original Scouts, man. They got that armor thing. They do stuff in private. It's just weird. They're just, they can't help it.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate you having me on.
Yes, it was a pleasure. Those of you that listen, thanks for coming on. You can find American Gunsmithing Institute. You've got the cleaning pro system You've told me 5 times and I screwed it up again. Pro Cleaning System.
ProCleaningsystem.com.
ProCleaningsystem.com. You can find
.com.
Junior at nagindustries.com. You can find Sandman on his YouTube channel, Polititalk Centered. Thank you all for joining us. Owen, for those of you who are listening later, that is Junior's son, Owen. He's joined us on cameras. He's hamming it up some. Owen.
And having a gay old time, too.
Yeah, he's loving it. He's like, yeah, that's me, man. That's what's up. All right, guys. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Those of you listening later, we appreciate it as well. Jack, as always, good time. Thank you for coming by. I appreciate it. Sandman, I'll see you Monday. Eric, I'll holler at you later. Those of you that are joining us, we're going to end the broadcast now. Be safe, be accurate, and God bless.
Good night.